What up, everybody? Chris Denman going solo with my man Bill Vehige from Banned From Ringside. Real quick, got to tell you about Barrel Beard and Tattoo. Great sponsor of ours. Check them out online, barrelbeardandtattoo.com. Wonderful thing for gifts, or just get it for yourself. Great for your hair, great for your skin. That's barrelbeardandtattoo.com. And, of course, St. Louis Live, the morning show. Tune in 6 to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday on 9:20 a.m. here in St. Louis, Missouri. Hello, Bill.
Hello, Chris. I know you've been giving out some beard and barrel tattoo. Yeah, to your guests.
Not today. No, you have to have X amount of Twitter followers to receive that.
Is that true? Wait,
yeah,
but I have 8 Twitter accounts though, actually.
Yeah,
so do I get to combine them all?
Right. I feel bad. I've been here working all day, and I have one of the stablemates of Free Play Media Podcast Network, and I didn't bring you any beard oil, man.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's why you've been on my ass about.
I have your phone number. I've been to your house. Yes. I know where to get it.
That stuff is so good. I will actually make that happen. I'm going to get you some. You prefer campfire, which is, or what is it? Yeah, cabin, which smells like a campfire, or do you prefer vanilla and you want to smell like cookies?
No, I don't want vanilla. I'll take the campfire.
Okay, there's Built also that kind of smells like you've been working in a garage.
Ooh, wait.
You could
like,
trick
it
people
smells like
into thinking
grease?
you're a laborer.
Or like oil?
To a degree, yeah.
Okay, I want the campfire and the garage.
Yeah.
I don't know what you called it, but I'll take the campfire and the garage.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
the cabin
Built.
and the Built.
Cabin Built.
Okay, yes.
You can mix the two of them. Okay, we'll make that happen.
That sounds
I am
good.
a dick for not bringing that.
That's
That
all
is
right.
rude. Yeah. It's funny that you would presume that you would deserve that, too, though.
I'm making some mental notes right now, but yes. I mean, I listened to the Sklar Brothers interview earlier
Did you?
today,
Yeah.
and they
How
definitely
was it?
got one. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but their beards aren't quite as healthy as mine.
You haven't seen it in person. I don't know.
Well, that's a good point.
It's right there. I just
haven't.
shaved mine off.
Did you just
Terrible
big-time me?
timing. Terrible timing. Not
Did you
at
just
all.
big-time me by saying
No.
I haven't seen it in person? Like, well, you haven't actually met the
Without
Sklar
doing it.
Brothers.
Yeah, like you weren't there, Bill. And you I didn't like the reaction you gave me whenever I said, "Did you like it?" You were like, "Eh."
No, it was good. It was good. It was really good.
fine.
I listened to the whole thing. No, it was
fine.
funny. I mean, they were funny. Travis was funny.
Agreed. Yes, the three of them.
were
very
funny.
and I was there, dude. No, so I've been saying I wanted to have you in, so you got back into the entertainment game, right?
I
So
did.
You've been in bands and stuff before, but
Yeah, I played in a couple bands around town that were mildly successful for.
Define successful.
Well, I sold out. My band sold out off Broadway twice.
how many friends and family members were part of that?
Tons.
So many.
Tons of them.
Isn't that funny? Whenever you have to promote things, you're like, listen, Aunt Sue, I know you were going to go play backgammon. I really need you to come pay $18.50 to see my band for the 12th time.
Aunt Sue was actually washing her hair that night, so
Again?
she couldn't make it. Yeah, she couldn't
you
make
have a
it.
weird schedule with
Yeah.
that. Yeah. No, it is funny. Even at that, like, I always crack myself up, or I crack myself. I always get cracked up by people. It is fucking hard to promote shows and to promote anything creative that you do. And I don't know if it's St. Louis, because like part of me is like, oh, St. Louis, they support their own.
Well, St. Louis is strange, especially in the music game. I haven't played in a band in a year, but when I used to play, it was always kind of strange because it's hard to get people out for original music. But if you're doing like I used to do the Undercover Weekend over at Firebird, my band played there a couple times, and if you say, one time my band, the Hibernauts, did an entire set of 4 Top songs. And everybody's like, oh, well, when you play it, oh, yeah, we'll make it there. It's like, oh, yeah, we got horns and stuff. They're like, oh, well, hell yeah. And then that was a great show. There were tons of people there. And it was a fun show. And I'm not knocking Undercover Weekend at all. And I'm not
at all.
But it's harder to get people out for original music.
The 4 Tops weren't always the 4 Tops, too. Like, that's what you want to tell people. Like, there are bands that start off small that get big, so come enjoy them now.
Yeah.
No, I saw that. It was an off-Broadway show here in St. Louis. The band that played Smooth 12 times in a row.
12 times in a row. Well, they played it 10 times in a row, and then they did a 2-song encore. That was also Smooth.
Smooth. Hilarious, dumb idea that worked. They sold it out. People went nuts over it. Those poor guys are all in other bands.
Right.
I just remember them being like, hey, this is like silly and fun, but come out to a show sometime.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that'd be great. We have a lot of trouble selling tickets. It's we have a comedy show December 28th. That's right, at the Lou Eats and Drinks, 710 North 2nd Street. $10, 3 comics and a blues band, and I will promote my ass off. We'll probably sell it out, but I will earn every ticket that comes through that door.
Sure.
For sure. And so will the comics and the band too. But yeah, that's fun. So have you found a little bit of that doing the podcast? You do a pro wrestling podcast.
Yes.
For everybody that doesn't know, Banned From Ringside.
Yes, on the Free Play Media Podcast Network.
There you go. That's the important part. I get so tired. I hear your voice every day. We run your commercial on our morning show.
Yeah.
The only and best pro wrestling podcast.
I don't remember doing that.
Yeah, you knocked it out. It was fine. No, but have you incorporated a little bit of that into the podcast? Is there a weird, like, do you get the, and I'm projecting here, do you get the, well, shucks, it's all right,
well,
when
no,
you talk to people about it?
No, there's actually a lot of people that listen to it that talk to me, friends and family. Aunt Sue loves it.
Sure.
But there's actually quite a few people that listen to it that are not necessarily wrestling fans.
That's awesome.
But I get more feedback from them saying, I kind of want to start watching wrestling now because you guys are so funny when you talk about it. Because it's me and my old friend Jason Bell.
Yep. Jason
Cornelius Bell.
Love him.
And then we have Two Beer Zach Pullman.
Yep.
And then every once in a while we have Tinder Mahal.
Tinder Mahal's a very interesting character. How about Two Beer? Where did he get the name from?
Because he's always had 2 beers by the time he gets to the studio. So that just kind of that was not his nickname before we started doing the podcast.
Yeah.
But
it should stick though.
It has stuck. I see him at family things because our wives are cousins with each other.
Yeah.
So I see him at Christmas and I see him at birthday parties and things like that. And I call him Two Beer all the time now. I like it quite a bit.
That's a pretty sweet name.
But yeah, I think like doing the podcast, I think that I'm kind of the person that I always have to be kind of doing something creative, you know, which is where the band came in. I also like to write. And the podcast, you and I spoke probably over 2 years ago one time. And you were like, well, Vehige, you're good at talking to people. What would you do? And I was like, I'd probably do a pro wrestling podcast.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big pro wrestling fan.
Well, and it is as I kind of go down that path too, it's become like comics have become our thing, I guess, just because we have access to some bigger names. At the same time, like, it's tough to do a general podcast. To be like, no, we just talk and we explore subjects. Not everybody is getting 5 million views on their YouTube like Joe Rogan does, right? He does a general podcast.
Sure.
Mark Maron breaks people down. Corolla does more of a radio show style podcast, like that kind of thing. It's tough to do a general podcast these days.
Yeah, and
because there's so many of them.
It's tough to bring people into it. And plus, as a podcast listener, because
you listen to podcasts.
I do, all the time. I never want to listen to a podcast that doesn't feel like it has any structure, where it's just a bunch of guys sitting around dicking around.
Right.
Like, when I started, like, I've never been on radio or anything, but when we started Banned From Ringside, I was like, this has to sound like a real podcast or like almost like a radio show where there's a structure. That's why we do our 3 count at the beginning, which is our 3 biggest stories of the week.
Right.
And, we break each other's balls and stuff, and then we'll have predictions for the next week coming up later on. And
there's not a ton of room for just like, hey man, we're just doing this. You know what I mean? Like, that's not.
No,
you can. Good luck trying to get people to listen to you and give you feedback on it.
Yeah, and
they're gonna be like, it sounded like you were sitting in a room with 3 guys and farting into the mic.
Yeah, and just like inside jokes. Like, I try to. If we have inside jokes, I try to make them part of the show so that everybody else
that's a tough
is
one.
part of it. Because I'm not gonna name anybody, but there are certain podcasts that I've checked out of comedians that I like, and it's just like this sounds like a comedian that thought, oh, well, everybody's making a podcast, I need to make a podcast, and then you listen to it, and it's not really, there's only so many hours in the week that you have to listen to podcasts.
That's where it's at, for sure.
Yeah, and I say that at the end of every Banned From Ringside episode. I always say, I know there's a lot of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you taking the time out to listen to ours, because that's true for me, because I have kind of my schedule of podcasts that I go through during the week.
Same here.
And sometimes I miss some, and to add a new one in,
Good luck.
Whew, good luck getting in there.
The only thing that's done that to me, I've been hitting Buster Olney up for baseball information during the winter meetings. I've branched out slightly when I find that MMA podcasts aren't, if there's breaking news and they're only like a once a week thing, because MMA is weird, it's unpredictable, and when news is going to break, I've done that. But other than sport related, it would be real. Most podcasts I listen to are either informational or funny, right? I mean, that's what we do. So outside of specific sports, I can't tell you the last time I sought out a random comedy podcast.
Ooh, yeah, it's been a while.
I might go back to one I haven't listened to a lot. Like, I'll pick and choose with Marin if he's got somebody interesting on or something.
Yeah, Marin depends on the guest. For
sure, yeah, because it's his podcast. If he wants to talk to some obscure guitar player from a record he had in 1978, go ahead. Same with Rogan. I don't give two fucks about bow hunting. I'm not going to tune in to that. But yeah, but the only consistent one, I'm still Team Corolla, man. Fitzdog, the once a week.
Depends on the guest.
Yeah, depends on the guest. He's great, but I don't know. What else do you listen to? I can't listen to Fighter and the Kid anymore. That was Brian Callen and Brendan Schaub. I can listen to Brendan Schaub's MMA podcast, but Fighter and the Kid did a weird circle to me where now all it is their character inside jokes. Because they're so big. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's awesome. That's an awesome place to be, but I'm just like, I'm not. It's
kind of like when I'm watching Everybody Loves Raymond with my wife, and it's all about character jokes, and she's like, she doesn't get it because she doesn't know what cousin or what the buddy Gianni is like, you know? Right. And it's like...
Big Everybody Loves Raymond guy?
I gotta admit, I do like Everybody Loves Raymond. Okay. Yes, I know. Right. As sitting across from you as somebody here promoting their wrestling podcast... Mm-hmm. It might be apparent to you that I have no shame telling people what I like.
But I like that, though, because a lot of people lie, and I know they're lying. Or, like, even if it's a poppy song or just something, it's like, we can all like some shitty things. It doesn't all have to be some perfect indie movie or super awesome TV show.
And there's no such thing as a guilty pleasure to me. Like, I like what I like. And, yes, Everybody Loves Raymond gets guffaws out of me every time. It's not a joke. And I like King of Queens too, man.
Of course you do.
Yes.
We interviewed a guy that was on King of Queens.
But like, I hate Big Bang Theory, 2.5 Men. Yeah, I can't stand it.
That's probably where I would draw a line, because that's just like a different, like, that's the extreme version, right? Like, that's like too programmed to make dumb people laugh.
And the jokes are just kind of formulaic, whereas Everybody Loves Raymond is true art.
Oh, right. That makes sense. Yeah. I'm trying to think the last show like that I could enjoy. Here's one that I'll admit, and my buddies watched it too, because we all heard Steve Byrne on Corolla on the podcast, who I've interviewed Steve Byrne since. Yeah. Funny interview. I've heard his stand-up, not the best, but I don't know. Maybe it is good. I haven't seen it. Either way, Steve Byrne.
He was on that show where he owned the place with his dad, right?
He had a show on TBS called Sullivan and Son. Had a bunch of comics in it. Had Brian Doyle Murray.
Who was the dad?
I don't remember. I'll have to look it up. But
wait, was it Dan Lauria from Wonder Years?
Was it?
Wasn't he on a show like that?
I bet he was. I watched an entire season of Sullivan and Son. And it was the worst show I've ever seen in my life. But because we had invested a couple episodes in, and he was so funny on Corolla, I thought, and I was like, this guy is awesome. And Vince Vaughn was producing it.
Oh, yeah.
I went through a whole season, and we all came back and talked to each other about it. And we were just like, listen, the show's really bad. Like, we got to stop watching it as a friend group.
Yes.
Because we kept trying it, and we were like, yeah, it's,
TBS?
Yeah.
I never watched
it.
So
I can't throw any rocks at your Everybody Loves Raymond.
I'll be honest though, I never started watching Raymond until it was already over. Yeah. Like, I only caught it on the TV Land tip. Uh-huh.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't even know why I started watching it.
You're right, by the way, from
Dan Lauria.
Yeah, Dan Lauria.
Yeah, Jack Arnold. Nobody resembled my dad. Nobody resembled my dad in the late 80s and early 90s. I never related to anybody as much as I related to Kevin Arnold, because Dan Lauria was so much like my dad.
No shit.
Oh, yeah.
And just strict. Like, listen to this cat real quick. Let's get into that in a second. Ahmed Ahmed's very funny. Owen Benjamin, have interviewed him. Very funny.
Yeah.
He's kind of taken a weird route on Twitter lately, though. Have you noticed that?
Yes, I have.
His agent fired him, by the way. Like, he's like, I don't want to be... Whatever, he's doing his thing. Roy Wood Jr., he's on The Daily Show.
Hilarious.
Interviewed him. This is just me bragging about people I've interviewed.
I know, big time of me again.
Let's see. Billy Gardell, he's a big star. I haven't seen his work. John Michael Higgins played he was the brother on The Breakup, a Vince Vaughn pick.
He's the
Seinfeld. Loses his hair. Elaine, he goes to prison because he's balding.
Yeah, he was on Pitch Perfect. He's the judge.
Seen that.
I watched 2 last night.
He is a Pitch Perfect guy for sure. Ken Jeong. This is a big comic heavy cast, and I couldn't handle it. So you're a big Pitch Perfect guy.
I liked Pitch Perfect 1 a lot. Once wrestling was over last night, the wife said, turn it on Pitch Perfect 2, which was playing on FX.
Yes, ma'am.
Turn it on she did watch the last hour of wrestling with me. It was,
right.
It's kind of tit for tat there.
That's good. Yeah.
But Pitch Perfect is pretty entertaining.
I haven't seen it.
None of them?
No.
Oh, it's legit funny.
Is it?
Yes, it's legit funny.
That's the one where they're doing the final one now. I've seen previews, right?
Yeah, it's about the acapella all-girl acapella group. Oh, it's legit funny.
Okay.
You will laugh at it.
Okay, Bill.
Guaranteed you will laugh at it.
Okay.
All right. I told you.
I've probably interviewed a bunch of people that are on it, so yeah.
Probably, yeah. You probably have, yeah.
No, I'll check it out for sure, man. No, what were we going to go back to?
I was talking about the Wonder Years, but
let's talk about that. Let's talk about it. I remember you responded to a tweet because I turned on the Wonder Years, and I was like, I don't know. And did we figure this out that maybe Kevin was kind of a dick?
No, was that what it was about when we were talking on Twitter? I don't know. I think I was talking about how. Oh, I can't remember her name on the show. Her name was Becky. No, he cheated on Winnie with Becky. And I was telling you that Becky was so much hotter than Winnie was.
Right, he was on the right track.
Yeah, that's right.
So why was your dad like Kevin's dad?
I remember, he would come home from work and he would just kind of grunt. Because Kevin's dad always came home from work and he'd be like, hey, Dad. And he'd be like, But then I remember one very specific scene where Kevin asks his dad for money, and Kevin's dad opens the wallet, and when he opens the wallet, it made the sound of this huge door creaking. Right, it was like, and it was like a trifold wallet, and his dad gives him $1.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, that's my dad.
Yeah.
Like, he's just kind of the world's kind of beat him down because he's been at work.
Right.
40 hours a week
and
for the last.
Annoying as a kid.
And I'm annoying. Oh, sure. Yeah. And I was annoying as a kid. I was a big Wonder Years guy.
Me too, man. I watched it. I was lucky. My dad was younger. So I always got to go do a bunch of stuff. I think about that, like kids with.
What do you mean younger? Like how old was he when you were born?
21. And pretty young.
So you're older than your brother? Okay.
Yeah, my little brother's 30,
but he's
a giant.
Yeah, he's
certifiably.
Yes, right. Okay.
Yeah, we did that. He's home from California. The last time he was home from California, we took our shoes off and measured to see how tall we all were, including my girlfriend. She's a legit 6 feet tall without shoes on.
Legit, yes. Yeah, she's taller than I am.
Yeah, 6 foot.
Wait, I'm 6 foot tall.
6 foot tall, no shoes on, with a tape measure.
Yeah,
yeah, she is. I'm 6 foot, a little like 6'3", a little over 6'3", no shoes on.
Yeah,
my little brother is 6'6" with no shoes on.
So where's that come from? Because
I don't know. But my dad's 6'2".
I know. I've
talked
to your dad. Yes, I've hung out with him.
Yeah. I don't know. My mom's 5'5". David's my brother's easily tallest in our family. Is your brother tall?
Both of them are.
How many brothers? You have 2?
Yeah, so I have an older sister, 2 younger brothers, and my older sister's standard 5'5", 5'6". Sure. My younger brother is the one who's 2 years younger than me is 6'3", and then the other one's 6'4". So
you got the short end of the stick, literally.
I'm the runt.
Yeah, you're the runt.
My mom says the milk got better.
Milk technology is really advanced, Bill.
It's like all those hormones, Mom.
Which brother of yours has become Facebook famous? Well,
that's my brother, Richard Todd.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He's entertaining. Yeah, follow him. If you like to get into arguments on Facebook, add him. And then take his stuff seriously.
Get after Richard Todd on Facebook.
No, he cracks me up. And he's obviously a smart guy, and he's just taken to Facebook to truly mess with anyone and everyone.
He's brilliant. He really is. He's so smart.
I added him not only because he's your brother, but he's quite entertaining. It's funny.
He's something else. He's also taking a break, though. He and I were talking via text one night about this article about how Facebook is kind of no bueno. You know, how it's kind of like not so much rots your brain, but it kind of controls you. You start
living in this world that isn't the real world, and then you just kind of if you're too much into that, you'll find that you're like, I just spent 4 hours on nothing. Nothing. Truly nothing. You didn't go for a walk in the woods. You didn't say hello to someone. You just did nothing.
Oh, it's awful. And it's been a real struggle for me. I've kind of made a conscious effort to not check Facebook first thing in the morning when I wake up and take my morning constitution, or when I just roll over in bed, just to not check my phone and look at Facebook. But it's not a good way to start your day.
Yeah, because there's a lot of arguments, fighting, and
so I get
stupidity.
On Twitter.
Yeah, right. You know what I've been noticing on Twitter? So I've been following a lot of Cardinals rumors recently. Mm-hmm. So I see who I've done this just who are these people that respond to all these tweets, right? I look to see who responds to famous people's tweets and stuff. They all have less than 100 followers usually.
Oh yeah.
90% of the people that reply in unison to Twitter are the dumb masses.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. I don't know why, but I guess if you just I realize it too. I don't respond to a lot of people on Twitter. I go, okay, yeah, good info.
Yeah, I might like something if it's funny.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? What are you doing?
But I really try not to like stuff that's political, because sometimes I see what other people like when it's political, and I'm like, this blow hard.
Right. Right. Oh, you think you've made a difference today, right?
Yeah. But Twitter is fun, man.
It is. What's your favorite part?
Much fun.
Screwing around with people?
No, not so much screwing around with people. There's 3 times when Twitter's really popping off.
Go on.
It's big sports events.
Sure.
NBA playoffs are great on Twitter.
It's a weird release, isn't it? To be can't believe he did that. Boom.
Well, it's also
that was great.
It's also kind of nice to sit in your recliner, watch, a playoff game, and see all the jokes that come down.
Yeah.
See the takes that come down, and also feel like you're watching it with people without actually having to look at them or have them use your electricity.
Yeah. Exactly. Or
that you're paying your hard-earned money for.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's be serious about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fun. Award shows.
That's good.
Are really good on Twitter.
I remember saddling in. I was either single or dating someone in another city. I had purposely got the perfect amount of drinks to not ruin my day the next day. It was probably a Sunday night. Award shows are on Sunday nights, right?
Yeah, so 15, 16.
230 cans of beer.
Yeah.
Did that. Made some stupid food and literally was oh, it's Twitter time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You think about that, and they pop up, if you go back and look at your history, I'm wow, I really live tweeted the MTV Movie Awards 5 years ago.
Oh, yes. I love that.
And we're to the point now where you're much, much older than me. Much, much older than me.
Way older than you, yes.
Twitter's been around long enough that I'm still a moron, but I was still... The internet's changed, number one.
Sure.
You could have more silliness and grab ass on those without being well, your employer might see that or something.
Right.
But
that's over.
It's done.
Yeah.
But Twitter for me in 2009, much different than Twitter me now. I just don't say anything, period, now. Unless it's I promote my own stuff on there.
Right.
I used to just say whatever came in my brain.
Right.
And 26-year-old me did not have a really great brain. It was, you said some dumb shit on there.
33-year-old you is
It's not doing much better.
No, but
it's packaged differently.
It's generational evolution,
Right.
But like, I don't think I got on Twitter until 2011, but I'm watching this show now on Netflix called American Vandal. Have you watched it?
I haven't. Is it good?
Yes.
Everybody loves Raymond good or like good?
No, it's good. It's actually good.
We have probably very similar tastes, so I trust you.
It's like a parody of Serial.
Okay, yeah.
But
I know that.
It's about high schoolers.
And he spray painted dicks on something.
Somebody spray painted 27 dicks, or somebody spray painted 27 cars with dicks.
Yeah.
And the whole thing's about who spray painted the dicks.
So I need to watch it.
But it's a parody of Serial, so it takes it really seriously with all these goofy kids. But like, they talk about being on Instagram when they were like 9 years old, some of these characters, and it's like, holy shit.
That's real. Yeah.
Yes.
If you're 21, right? Instagram, if you've been using it that long, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane.
That is insane to me.
It's pretty crazy. Considering whenever Facebook dropped, half the people didn't have it because they weren't in a real 4-year school. Friends.
I didn't even know that till, I remember MySpace.
I was a big MySpacer. Yeah.
Yeah, when you could choose your song.
Yeah. Really let people know what you're feeling. And
yes.
I like that we were dumb enough to think people would like hang out on your profile long enough to hear like your second and third songs that you put on there. Couldn't you put more than one eventually?
Eventually, yeah, when they made upgrades. Yeah. But if you, like, a couple years ago, because MySpace is still up, I think.
Is it?
I think. Well, a couple years ago. Years ago it was. Like, I know there's people out there that hate, the Cubs.
Yeah.
I know there's people out there that hate Donald Trump. And to be fair, there's people out there that hate Barack Obama.
Sure.
There's no way any of them hate any of those people as much as I hated the version of myself when I went back to look at my MySpace profile years later.
I bet that was painful.
It is painful, man. Like, the shit that I thought was funny, it's just not funny at all.
Right.
And not cool. You're not being cool, Bill. You weren't being cool on MySpace.
Yeah.
You're being kind of a douche.
Yep.
And you thought you were like some sort of edgelord. You're not being edgy.
What do you think drove you to think you were edgy? That you were just like in the music scene a little bit and bartending? Like what's the deal?
Oh no, but you'd say stuff about like shit that you hate. Like that's social media is terrible about like people just getting on there and saying stuff that they hate. It's like, yeah, dude, everybody hates that.
Right.
You're not really adding anything to the conversation. And you know what? You're not adding anything to the conversation if you just put on Twitter, "Let's Go Blues" either.
That's very oh my gosh. Okay, so all right, yeah. I don't really have.
You looking up your MySpace?
MySpace is still happening.
What was your MySpace name?
C. Denman or Denman. I don't know.
Mine was my last name, Vehige, all caps with like 20 exclamation points. How douchey is that?
It's pretty good. I'm a fan of that.
No,
dude. So let's get into this a little bit. So you've been into music. So obviously we know you from BFR, from Banned From Ringside. Download that. Throw them a review if you can. But so with the music scene, you're pretty knowledgeable on that for the last decade plus, way more than that actually, probably 2 decades, right?
Yeah,
in St. Louis and just keeping up with it. What's it like? I've recently found this out because we've been doing some stuff with Gaslight Lounge. That's where we did the thing with the Sklar brothers. That, and then all of us working at Shock City. So you see that there's still a pretty rockin' music scene here. Like there's a lot going on.
Oh yeah.
I thought maybe I was just out of the loop because I stopped with whatever scene I thought was here 15 years ago. There's
still a lot of good ones around. It's hard for me to keep up with these days because now I bartended forever, so like I didn't have to wake up the next morning. I could go to shows all the time,
right?
But I'm not out at the shows as much as I'd like to be anymore.
Well, there's more hip hop, and there's more like drudgy, kind of grungy, good rock too. And maybe I'm just older and I've found that more, but I don't know. I just remember St. Louis being this like hotbed of emo music and screaming music and stuff like that.
Well, it was that for a long time, right? And then like when my old band used to play around a lot, there was a lot of Arcade Fire influence that was around a lot.
Gentleman Auction House.
Lots of good. Oh, they were a great band that we used to play with a lot. Yeah, they were great. But there was a lot.
They fit that mold, right? Without being rude, I still listen to them.
No, they were the best example of that. In my opinion.
Yeah.
But we used to play with a bunch of bands, but there were also a bunch of we used to play with the Livers a lot, and they were two guys that played. They both played guitar up front, and then in the back was a video of them on a widescreen of one of them playing bass and the other one playing drums, and they all played together. So there was two of each of them.
That's pretty interesting, though, right?
Oh, it fucking ruled.
Was it awesome?
Yeah, it was awesome.
I was like, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. But the St. Louis music scene, I'm not in it anymore. I guess I got too old for it, but I still think that everybody should get out there and go see a local show once a week.
It's there, and you'll be surprised too. Even if it's at a bar, too. That's being a musician, by the way. Playing bars, playing wineries, things like that. Yeah. You'll run into a brewery on a random night, and they'll be like Emily Wallace, and you're like, "Holy shit! Like that girl's got pipes, man.
She's the best singer in town.
Fantastic." Yeah. And then even if you just go see like a Funky Butt show, just if you can get into the tune, even if that's not your style of music, it's great, man. So shout out to them.
Well, there's a band that has a guy that I used to play with in it. They're called the Bobby Dazzlers, and they are spectacular. So if you see the Bobby Dazzlers around town, they're almost like SoCal, almost like punk pop. But man, it's a fun show.
It's good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We'll have to check that out.
There's so many more venues now than there used to be, though.
And places are safer that weren't deemed safe.
I know.
You can go to the Grove and see a show all the time. People weren't going to watch music in the Grove 10 years ago.
Never.
It's different now.
Never.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you've been in St. Louis for a while too, and you've worked downtown. You live in the city. What's happening with St. Louis? That's something that we can kind of get into a little bit. I feel like I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to see all of the cool, creative people. But then there's other issues, and I think a lot of it involves people 20 years older than us. I think, and some of the mindsets.
Yes.
But then I also just want to rip my damn hair out and be like, why don't I just leave this dump and go work somewhere else and work on something that would be appreciated more somewhere else, or there'd be more opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but St. Louis has a lot to offer in terms of it. There's lots of opportunity because there's lots of people that are looking for things to do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, there always is going. Well, maybe not always going to be, but there is a divide between the city and the county now. Which is,
I don't know if that's just in line with, like, I'm a Democrat, you're a Republican, I'm a city, you're a county. Like, it's inherently, like, tribal is in, like, human DNA.
Well, I just think that people don't like, when I talk to my mom about living in the city, she's always like, because I live in South City, and I live in a safe neighborhood in South City.
Great neighborhood. If you guys want the address, DM me.
Yeah, let them know. I'll let you know where I live. Don't steal the blue apron off my porch. I think it's still sitting out there.
Does that still work?
Oh, yeah.
They were having some financial issues. I'm glad they do, though, because it's a delicious.
I don't know. I didn't even. Not a sponsor, by the way. Not a sponsor.
You just appreciate Blue Apron.
I just know that it was sitting on my porch when I left the house, and I didn't put it in.
Sorry. Okay, so your mom talking to you about.
But when she talks about the city, she thinks, I grew up in St. Charles. My parents still live out there, and she acts like I live in
Beirut.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And she's like, "Oh, is everything okay?" It's like, "Yeah, Mom.
Yeah,
everything's good." But I think where I'm from, St. Charles, people don't like crossing the river. Like, why would you cross the river? Everything's so good over there in St. Charles.
Right.
But I also understand that, if you're out partying and if you're out having a good time, you might not want to drive the 30, 40 minutes.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I get that completely. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. I hope that stuff doesn't end up holding us back. Like this Amazon discussion and other things that, like, people fighting about for sports team. Like, I agree. Like, Cardinals right now, they bent the city of St. Louis over and just took them to town, no lube. Like on that land deal downtown. So I get why. And then after the people that signed this shit with the Rams, one of the worst deals that you could ever sign. Like, it's our own fault.
Well, listen, I'm still a Rams fan.
Still?
Yeah.
Feels different to me. Two different teams.
Haven't given it up. Because
good for you. You're having a great season.
Right before they left, my father-in-law got me this sweet reversible Rams hat.
You got to wear it.
I got to wear it.
Right.
And they left like 2 weeks later, and it's like, I'm not going to give up that hat.
No. That's a good reason.
Actually, I'm not really sure where it is right now. But I'm sticking with them.
Right.
But I'm also glad that they left, because as somebody that lives in the city, it's like, I don't want to put all that money into something that's not going to love us back. I'd rather put money into infrastructure. I'd rather get cool people to live in the city.
Yeah.
The more cool people that live in the city, the safer the city's going to be.
For sure.
You know, when shit gets desolate, like you said, Beirut, that's when
desperation takes over.
Yeah. And crime ticks up. So when the MLS to STL thing came down, and I know this is probably unpopular.
Yeah.
I was against it.
No, I think you're in line with city residents, obviously. I mean, that was
not my neighborhood, though.
Not your neighborhood. Oh,
no.
Yeah. Your specific neighborhood would have been told, let's give it to them.
Right.
But they're the same people
it's a lot of white people.
Yeah. They're the same people that would complain if you're like, these people need handouts. Well, you're giving a handout to this team. Like, that's all it is. I've talked to, more name dropping, Billy Corbin, the guy who did the U and the U Part 2 and Cocaine Cowboys.
Yeah.
That guy despises welfare to billionaires for these sports stadiums. And good on them for tricking cities or presenting that model to get cities to pay for it, right?
Sure.
To make it happen.
Yeah.
People are wising up now. It's going to probably mainly shift over to private investments once cities kind of realize it more.
I read the sports business article that was going around, and I read the Deadspin thing, that really all the numbers point to publicly funded stadiums don't really do a whole lot for the economy in the city.
Correct.
Now, I've bartended downtown for a long time, and there's people that come in that have cash to spend that work at the stadiums. They might sell beers, stuff like that. And I want them to have jobs. I'm not rooting against anybody, especially in the city.
Right.
But ultimately, long term, it's probably not the best move.
No, it's not. And I hope, I don't know, I hope we get more jobs and people like moving here. It just, St. Louis can be a little frustrating at times, and you've got way more experience here than me, so figured I'd toss that out there. What are you going to do? So what do you got coming up for the podcast? Anything fun?
Well, we have a relationship with Glory Pro Wrestling.
That's awesome, by the way.
Yes.
Great job.
We've been Dynamo Pro Wrestling has reached out to us because
you're fielding offers.
Yes. I don't know. I don't know if there's any other wrestling podcasts in St. Louis.
Not that matter.
There's
a voice that booms every morning.
But we do it every Thursday night. We usually have it uploaded by Thursday or Friday. It's 3, sometimes 4 dudes that just sit around. Listen, we realize that we're grown men talking about
whole grown, I will give you shit or give my buddy shit, dude. The Walking Dead is probably consumed by more adult men than anything. You know what I'm saying?
Fucking Star Wars.
We all have our dumb shit
X-Men,
that we like, right?
Thor,
pro sports,
right?
Pro sport. You're going to cheer for a 23-year-old guy and say that you're going to get a tattoo of the team that you're paying to, what? Yeah, there's a bunch of goofy shit we all do.
I mean, there's a few reasons. I love pro wrestling on a bunch of different layers, and if you'll allow me, I'll name a few.
Please.
I like the athleticism of it. They are athletes. They are people that put their all into it, and they can get hurt. And while the outcomes are predetermined,
big of you to say that.
The pain necessarily isn't fake all the time.
Check the amount of dudes that get hooked to
shit
Oxycontin or whatever.
I also think that it's kind of an allegory for good and evil. Like, I like the concept of justice. I mean, when Ned Stark gets killed in season 1 of Game of Thrones,
nice.
You are rooting for Jon Snow the entire time to do his thing, and for the bad guys to receive their comeuppance. Wrestling is not very different than that. The good guys get wronged, and they exact their revenge over a series of weeks and a series of theatrical staged fighting.
Yeah.
But probably my favorite thing about wrestling is that it's just the weirdest goddamn thing in the world, man.
That's a good way to put it.
I can't take my eyes off it. When it's a bunch of dudes fake fighting in a traveling circus.
With like the B to Z level acting.
Yes. I mean, it's an art form.
For sure.
It's an art form. It's not unlike acting. The acting can be bad sometimes, but a few years ago, I think I narrowed down what my personal aesthetic was, and I think I love shit the most when it's the combination, the marriage, if you will, of the melancholy and the absurd.
Okay.
It's why I like Raising Arizona. It's why I love Boogie Nights.
How great is Boogie Nights?
It's my favorite movie of all time. Those are my two favorite movies of all time, and they're kind of similar in how absurd and melancholy they can be. Because Raising Arizona, for one, it gets you in the feels.
Right.
Gets you in that feel spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And while I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that wrestling actually gets melancholy very often.
Sure.
If you watch the Flair 30 for 30, you can see that it can get melancholy.
Right. And then you are mixing in that knowledge of one of the best interviews I've ever done was with a wrestler, for sure.
Which one?
Jake the Snake.
Jake the Snake Roberts.
Over the phone. 30 or 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, shut it down. Not sure we're going to do much better than that.
Right. Yeah.
For real. And it was fantastic.
And then you add into the audience has to like somebody or else they're not going to get over. It's not like it's a TV show where there's not a live audience to tell you whether or not guys like Jamie Lannister or not. It's like they have to start liking them.
Right.
Sorry for another Game of Thrones.
No,
I can use something else.
Love some Thrones.
But and then you add into like corporate stuff, like Vince McMahon using the biggest promotion that there is out there. He's got to make a buck too. Yeah. So he's trying to use all these other things while trying to make a profit in a Fortune 500 publicly traded company. And when you add in those layers, Shock
City is great, by the way, but do you get fire trucks?
Don't get fire trucks. Yeah. Well, actually you can, but you just can't hear it. But you add in all those layers, and to me, it's the most interesting thing in the world.
I love that, and you have to have passion to do a specific podcast like that, and to make it entertaining too. You're not breaking it down. Again, you guys are all very talented and entertaining when you do it. I subscribe. You guys should too.
We laugh a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's
wrestling should be fun for
sure. What before we get out of here? What's your dream interview for that? For the podcast, for BFR, for the three of you in the room, you get
any wrestler I want,
any wrestling personality. Do you just go straight to Vince?
Oh, see it. That's a good question. I think I'd be. I don't know if Vince would give me that much though.
Say he's open. He's whomever you get goes. Okay,
I give him sodium pentothal, and they let me know everything.
He's not going to give up trade secrets, but he'll give. If you pry it out of him, he'll give the best damn interview you've ever had. Who do you want? I mean, is it a?
Well, it's Vince.
Is it Vince? Yeah.
He's the Godfather.
I called him P.T. Barnum in an interview. He's a modern day P.T. Barnum.
One time I went to a WWE thing with a buddy of mine who's kind of like a tangential fan, and Vince came out to play his character.
Yeah,
and my buddy called him the Walt Disney for the scum of the earth.
I think Vince would say, "Yeah,
that's what they call me." Right. But it'd be like Vince or Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Vince or Stone Cold. Again, as you're making an entertaining wrestling, Stone Cold as a guest or host, one of the best podcasters
he's
there
great.
is.
Yes, he's great.
He's unbelievable.
Well, that's why when I was saying, do I give them truth serum or do they get to? Do I take them as they are? Yeah. Stone Cold would have been my answer first because I think Stone Cold kind of has no secrets at this point.
Correct. Yeah, and he'll while still remembering he has some money to make. He's not. It's not going to be a destitute story. He's going to have some fun. He's going to be a character. He's great.
Oh, he's a riot.
Yeah.
He was a riot when he wrestled.
Was he?
Oh, I mean, just like...
I was in Farmington, Missouri when that was happening, and also not quite in tune to wrestling.
Right.
I liked all the people that were so serious, like Stone Cold said so.
Right, yeah, I know.
I was around his key demographics daily.
Sure, I know a couple of them. Like, Jinder Mahal.
Right. And I just remember being like, you guys are fucked up, man. Like, what is wrong with you guys? Like, go pick up a ball or something.
I don't think I've ever, I didn't start watching. I watched it when I was a kid with my grandfather and my dad. But I started watching it in college just because it was something to do. And there's a couple guys I didn't know. I was trying to make friends, and we went and drank Mickey's and 410 Laws, you know. And I don't think there was ever a time that I've liked it since I had, hair on my balls, that it just didn't make me laugh.
Right.
It's just so funny. It's ridiculous.
This Is the End is one of my favorite comedies in the last 10 years.
It's really good.
Why? Because it was stupid as shit.
Oh, This Is the End is really good.
So stupid.
I love Danny McBride in that movie.
It was so good. But are you like along those, like even like you were saying the melancholy, like Sideways is one of my favorite movies. Why? Because it's fucked up when what's the Sandman? The second lead, not Paul Giamatti. Ed.
He was Lowell on Wings.
Yeah, yes. That's what I was going to say. The dude from
Thomas
Wings.
Hayden Church.
Thomas Hayden Church. He's like nailing the like chubby waitress. Like,
yeah,
that's life. That's a guy with a real problem.
Right, and then the naked guy comes running out.
He chases the guy because he left his ring there.
Right. Another good example. It's another Alexander Payne movie. Is Election, which is
I've never seen it.
It's a great all-time comedy.
Okay. Who's in that?
Totes recommend. Reese Witherspoon, Matthew Broderick, Christopher Klein. Oh yeah, dude.
I don't know if I'm trusting.
It's probably 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. You know what? We'll play the Rotten Tomatoes game. Okay. I bet it's 92%.
92%. I'm just going to guess and say just to be whatever. And again, you have good taste, so I'm screwing up here. 62%.
Oh no.
Which is still a good score.
Oh no. It's way higher than that.
Election, Rotten Tomatoes. Okay.
Election
from 99.
Yeah, Alexander Payne, Reese Witherspoon.
92%.
Isn't that what I said?
That's a great. You said 90.
No, we'll play Rotten Tomatoes. I'll go 92%.
Nailed it.
That
means you looked it up.
5-point deduction. No.
Yeah.
I knew we were going to come in here and talk about Alexander Payne movies.
Everybody, he's got his cell phone out. I couldn't bear it. Wow. That's pathetic that I haven't seen that. It's rated that high. Even audience score 79. That's really good.
Yeah, but those are the masses. Right. Those are the same idiots that comment on shit on Twitter.
They tweet like, fuck you, Vince.
Yeah.
Dude, no, that's funny how that works, man. Yeah, so I get it. Wait. What about this? What's the most annoying follower group in professional wrestling in your lifetime?
You mean like...
I have an opinion. So I personally wasn't into wrestling. I found that the kids who would wear like NWO shirts to school were highly annoying.
Yeah, but...
Are there wrestling fans that... But those
Farmington's a different ecosystem than St. Charles, though.
Is it?
Oh yeah,
I think they share a lot of similarities.
No, St. Charles is way higher class.
So Affliction instead of Wrangler, like what's
I've been the Farmington guy. I've been to Farmington. It's like we were wearing starter jackets. You guys were wearing lotto jackets.
I always gauge Farmington through like my scope of like my successful friends that come back and visit, and we'll like go to a winery or like the bars and have a blast.
Sure.
And I remember telling my dad, who's a high level executive in the food service industry for 30 years, right? Very smart man, knows his shit, grew up down there, has worked in St. Louis, St. Charles for his whole life, or for his whole adult life. I remember being like, I'm pretty sure me and a buddy or two could open a wine beer bar down here with tacos and we'd crush. We'd kill it.
Yeah.
Like thinking of like a cool place you would find in like somewhere in a cool neighborhood in the city of St. Louis. My dad's like, do you really think that would work? And I was like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There's some good places. He's like, there's like 3 good places, a ton of chain restaurants. They keep building more chain restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
And you are thinking of this because when all your friends are home from New York California, St. Louis, even. You guys are here, and it's a special event or
It's
an
almost
occasion.
like he was wise. It's almost like he had a little bit of wisdom.
Yeah, you're here for a special occasion, and there's a bunch of smart, cool people that'll spend a little money and go out and have a good time. What happens on a Tuesday night in December?
Right.
I was like,
Yeah.
what, you going to pull people from rural areas into your cute little restaurant?
Right.
That's not going to happen. Okay, yeah, so I'm bad about that.
Well, it's like in St. Charles, like we always made fun of North County, but North County and St. Charles are the exact same thing, except there's more Monte Carlos in North County.
North County is the original St. Charles.
That's true. I mean, my mom's parents immigrated to St. Charles.
Ran to St. Charles? Yeah.
From North County in 1972. But funny story, and I was bartending one time, and there was a guy from out of town sitting at the bar, and I kind of made a crack at North County to this guy that was sitting at the bar, a buddy of mine.
Yeah.
Because it's just St. Charles, North County. And he goes, what's the joke? What's North County like? And then this other guy down the end of the bar that wasn't even part of the conversation goes, it's like NASCAR with rims.
Yeah, it just went into Big Mac land. That's the home run. That's so true. I would tell my buddies, it's like, Farmington and North County are the same thing. It's just you guys have more wiggers. Like,
Right.
That's more
Right.
like, you've got more dudes with like chin strap beards. Like that's all.
Monte Carlos.
Yeah, exactly. But can we say wiggers still? Travis says it. Travis says it. We say it amongst each other.
Travis does?
Travis will say it. We'll say it on the air.
I'll ask Jason Bell. I also have a person of African persuasion on my podcast. Yeah. I'll ask him.
Yeah, it keeps us in check. So, so do you have a most annoying fan base of a wrestler or group?
Well, times have changed a little bit since the NWO days. I mean, NWO debuted in 1996, which is 21 years ago.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So it's a little bit different now. There are, they call them the IWC these days. It's the Internet Wrestling Community, of which I would probably be considered a part.
Well, you do an online show, yes.
I do a wrestling podcast every week. And, but the fights that happen amongst the IWC are a little bit more nuanced than just, hey, the NWO. But, I mean, I will say that people that only like the WWE are kind of looked down upon.
Right. They don't look like...
they don't watch the indie promotions.
I would put that and look down upon from your more intellectual chair.
Yeah, I would say I probably represent 20% of the wrestling fan base in terms of in terms of the way that I view it and the way that I kind of parse it.
I would mirror that with my MMA fandom.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Like I'll follow the smaller promotions, follow the things. Whereas Joe Blow in an Affliction jacket, he likes watching UFC fighters. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people couldn't name like the champion from another. Either way,
and some people just like watching guys get the shit beat out of them.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're not really down with the art,
Technique.
the martial arts.
Sure.
They're not called the martial arts because there's no skill involved.
Correct.
But there was a little dust up on Twitter last weekend by Daniel Cormier.
Yeah.
Did you see that? What
happened? Something
happened in the Ring of Honor is one of the smaller. It's one of the bigger smaller promotions.
Yeah.
And there was kind of a sequence in this 6-man tag team Ring of Honor match that included a lot of flipping. It was very choreographed.
Sure.
It didn't look real. It wasn't guys DDTing each other and clotheslining each other. It was, it was choreographed.
Sure.
And Daniel Cormier, another fighter, I can't remember who it was, said, "What is this shit? Grown men watch this."
Chase Sherman.
Yeah, that's right.
He's
Chase
a Twitter
Sherman.
troll. Does a good job for being a low-level heavyweight. He's good on the tweets. He gets accused of having.
Isn't that how Chael Sonnen became famous?
For sure. Well, Chael he was Connor before Connor. Chael is a pro wrestling guy.
Yes.
He's a pro wrestling guy. He was not the most exciting. He's a wrestler. He wasn't the most exciting fighter.
But he became famous. He became famous for taking pro wrestling elements and adding them to the UFC.
For sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
So this is what I didn't know Chase Sherman.
Yeah, no one does. No one knows who Chase Sherman is, except he's built up a little Twitter following. Yeah, and another UFC fighter took him to task. I saw that.
I didn't see
Colby
that.
Covington, who is currently borrowing a bunch from pro wrestling and making a name for himself.
Yeah.
Calling Tyron Woodley, St. Louis' own Ty Quill.
Oh,
says he puts people to sleep when he fights. Good. He's so boring.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Ty Quill's good.
That is funny.
So then Dana Cormier kind of piled on and said, why don't you just want to watch people fight? Why don't you want to watch, you know? And it's, as a guy, I'm 38 years old. I grew up watching boxing. Boxing used to be something when I was in college. I mean, I was a big Lennox Lewis mark. Like, I loved watching Lennox Lewis knock dudes the F out, Me
and my dad would go, we watched the Riddick Bowe fight and Evander Holyfield fight.
Oh, yeah.
And this is back whenever you had to go to, like, the basement of a bar for a pay-per-view. We watched a wrestling thing like that once, too. But,
it was like closed circuit stuff.
Sure.
But I'll watch UFC fights. If my buddy gets, I have a buddy that gets all the pay-per-views. And if I have a Saturday night where I'm not doing anything and he invites me over,
wings and drink a little and watch the dudes fuck each other up.
But that's not why I watch wrestling.
Right.
I watch it for the theatrics of it. I watch it because you're all, you'll watch a UFC match and people don't get this, and like that's okay with me. It's like I said, there's no such thing as a guilty pleasure. I like the theatrical nature of pro wrestling. I like that the match is always going to be good.
Yeah.
It's always going to come down to the wire. You know what I mean? Right. Like, I like that about it.
There's no 5-1 baseball games happening where it's kind of boring.
And there's not going to be a match that only lasts 20 seconds because some guy gets KO'd.
Right.
Which, I like watching guys get KO'd also.
Sure. I don't know why you would equate, why? I don't know why you'd compare the two.
People. I think it's because
it's like saying don't watch a Jet Li movie. Watch Conor McGregor fight. It's like what? I don't know how that's one or the other.
Right. They're not the same thing.
Right.
But people do like to equate them, and I feel like UFC fighters are not all of them, and I don't want to group them all in, but it does look silly to people, but. Because it is silly. Like, that's the part, like I already said, like, the part that I like about it the most is the absurdity of it.
Correct. Like, you're not giving a dissertation on how real this is to you.
No.
No one's saying,
No. And there are wrestling matches that I've watched that I've been, completely invested in. That's an exaggeration. It happens a few times a year.
Sure.
It doesn't happen all the time, and not every. If you turn on a Raw at 8:30 at night on a Monday, you're going to see some clunkers. It's not all.
I like the Monday Night Raw is still a thing.
It's still going strong. USA is still the most watched cable network because of Monday Night Raw.
What was it? Was it Pacific Blue that would come on after wrestling?
It was Suits for a while.
No. Like back when I was a kid. Back when I regularly watched wrestling. I'm trying to think what would come on.
I don't remember Pacific Blue.
When did Raw start? Because it was wrestling was on
95.
Sundays. Wrestling was on Sundays for the longest time, right?
Yeah, but the nightly Monday night thing didn't start till like 95 or something.
I was just tapping out maybe of wrestling. I knew what Raw was, but I wasn't watching.
Well, this is another thing about wrestling is that every time I mention to somebody at the bar, I like wrestling, they'll be like, "What? You watch wrestling? That shit's fake." It's like, yeah, I know it's fake. And then they'll make fun of me for about 20 seconds. And then all they want to do is talk about wrestling for the next 20 minutes. Like, you remember King Kong Bundy? It's like, yeah, he used to eat the turnbuckle. It's like, yeah, I know. It's silly, right?
Right.
It's like, yeah, I get it. I know that it's silly.
There was a weird thing where you would there would be shame brought upon you and you're like, I'm not a kid anymore. I don't watch wrestling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and it's not to say that everybody should love wrestling or it's not getting into it, but it is weird whenever you do take umbrage, I guess, with somebody being into it. It's like, I don't know, man. You ever watch a Disney movie or do you ever watch... I
just want everybody to like what they like.
That's a good way.
Just like what you like. I like what I like.
Yeah. And if you like podcasts, download Banned From Ringside, everybody.
I already admitted in this last half hour about Raymond and Pitch Perfect. And wrestling's by far the least embarrassing of all three.
Bring out your inner Vehige. Bill Vehige. Follow BFR. Add him on Facebook. Join the private group, Friends of BFR. And keep up the good work, man. Great chatting.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
See you, buddy.
Yep.